attending a webinar needs lot of enthusiasm and managing your time. Kudos to all of you. Before starting this session, I wanted to say this will be more of a interactive thing. Okay, so I want each one of you to use the chat window or unmute yourself and say your name, your years of experience, and if you have agile experience, how many years of agile experience you have. If somebody didn't have an experience, you can say that as well. So can you do that? Each one of you, can you do that quickly?
Yeah, Siraj Sheikh, 23 years of experience in IT, past 2 to 3 years in Agile.
Hi, Rashmi here. 8 years experience in IT and 5 years experience in Agile.
Brilliant. So when you are saying Agile, if you mention the framework, it will be more easy. Like Scrum, XP, whatever it is. Okay.
Siraj Scrum.
Okay.
Rashmi Scrum.
Okay. So Rahila had 15 years of experience and 1 year experience in Scrum. Okay. So I have around 25 participants here. Vipin had 18 years experience and 3 years in Scrum. Okay.
I'm Brahman Tagalpati. So I'm from automotive sector. So I've been working in automotive around 5 years, but I'm not working in Agile. So our plan is to start by using Scrum framework.
Okay, that's great. Puneet had 16 years of experience and 7 years in Agile, Safe and Scrum. And we have Krishna, 18 years experience, 3 years in Scrum. And Vasundhara had 17 years, no experience in Scrum. Arun had 10 years and 4 years in Scrum. Pawan, 14 years and 14 years, 5 years in Agile. Anaga had 12 years in IT, 1 year in Scrum. Santosh had 15 years, no experience, starting with Scrum recently. Abhishek, 8 years in IT and 3 years in Agile. Scrum. Samruddhi, 15 years and 4 years in Scrum. 12, Ramya had 12 plus years of experience in IT, 5 years in Scrum. Okay, that's good. So I have people with different experiences and wide range of experiences, and most of us had an experience. So let me quickly introduce myself. I have 23 plus years of experience. In that, 17 years into the IT. I have an experience of both successful as well as failed agile projects. I also have an experience of traditional project management. I am a PMP certified and Agile certified practitioner. I'm a certified Scrum Master, certified Scrum Product Owner and practitioner. Prince2 has its own Agile, which is a Kanban, which is DSDM Atom. I am a practitioner certified on that, and I am also Kanban certified. I have an exposure to IT and non-IT industries in terms of providing the services in Agile to product development companies as well as services companies. This is a brief intro about myself. Now, so the topic of the day is, when we listen about Agile, when we hear about Agile, it looks good. Why can't we try that? But is it easy? If you ask me, majority of the people say, no, it is not easy. And we have, it is not about Scrum or any of these Agile frameworks are difficult. It is about preparing the organization is the one which is going to become difficult. So let me quickly walk through a couple of slides about the experiences of my projects, as well as I have conducted around 200 plus Agile sessions, the experiences of my participants, because each participant is again a book of experiences. So this is the one where I wanted to share, and that is the reason we made this way. So now let us get into the details. So quick statistics. See, number one, when we are speaking about Agile, what is that? Why? What is this Agile all about? And since Scrum is most practiced Agile, some of the statistics are coming from the Scrum. So I'm going to cover about how implementation of Agile, what are the challenging aspects for the failure of the Agile, and what are the things which are leading to success of the Agile. And there are some important people which are not mentioned in Agile, or directly or indirectly influencing your success or a failure of an agile. So we want this to be as interactive as possible. And if you want to stop, ask any queries, feel free to ask me using a chat window or even a unmuting yourself. Okay. So now, see, initially, maybe 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, we had traditional project management. And those days when we were developing any applications, it was like one particular department or one particular business function we wanted to digitalize. Those days we had traditional project management where you collect the requirements, finalize those things, analyze, and then build a UI, show that, get an okay, then do the coding, or sometimes you may do the prototyping, show that once they are okay, you build the entire application, test it, and hand it over it. So this is a traditional software development life cycle. So why we need an agile, and that is one of the important things I wanted to highlight is, since we are in a agile session, it doesn't mean that waterfall is waste. Today, if we look into the organizations, 60 to 70% of the digitalization what has happened is because of waterfall. Now let me ask you in this way. You can think about one day without a physical office. Can you think about one day without MS Office? We can work without physical office, but can we think about a day without an MS Office?
No, no.
Right?
It's an essential part, yeah.
No.
So the MS Office, is it developed in waterfall or is it developed in agile? Original one.
Waterfall.
Waterfall.
So that means whatever the things which we are experiencing are coming from the waterfall, and then slowly what happened is, see, initial days there was a lot of resistance in terms of even digitalization itself. Slowly people realized that there were also challenges like in terms of social acceptance. If digitalization happens, my jobs will be gone. So that sort of a resistance was there. Slowly people realized by digitalization, people did not lose the jobs. Their capacity to manage more more customers has happened. Then slowly after the introduction of internet and seamless connections, people started using technology as a key factor for expanding their businesses across the world. Then after enterprise frameworks like J2EE or even the .NET, people started taking one business function from starting to end and started developing the workflow applications, document management applications, sort of a thing, or budget approval applications. After they started doing that, slowly what happened is they were only digitalizing other than what leads to the what is customer facing. Then slowly they started adding customer facing things also digitalized. Today, any organization, a bigger organization, IT is like their nervous system. Now the problem what is happening is, now the IT which helped them to scale up leads to slowdown of the things, because my competitor introduced some new product. I need to introduce that equivalent here to stay in. If I'm in the waterfall, it takes 6 months to me, and by that time the money is getting wasted, and also I don't know whether I will be able to gain that customer base or not. So that is the place where slowly people started experimenting. So then when agile was heard, there was a lot of buzz in the market. They said agile is going to be getting replaced, agile will be there and traditional will not be there. That is how there was a lot of noise in the market during that time. So people were thinking very soon 30% may be agile and 70% will become traditional within 5-6 years. 2000 is the one where people spoke about Scrum, Agile Manifesto and all. Today we are in 2021. Are we still having waterfall? Yes, right?
Yes, we are having still, yeah.
So the reality is, this is the aspiration. The reality is only 30% of the projects are really agile. 70% of the projects are still in the traditional mode. So when you look into this, the senior managers in a company, maybe the delivery head or practice manager or maybe somebody even a higher level management. For them, when they wanted to look at tracking multiple IT projects in the organization or tracking multiple projects in the organization, those processes are more aligned towards traditional, right? Now, when the senior management want to look into the things, will they expect everything as per the traditional or will they expect as per the agile?
Traditional.
Traditional. Yeah.
Traditional. So that is the reason what happened is when the companies wanted to plan for agile, when they tried small places, it was okay. But when they went to the higher level, that is the time they had a challenge. Got it, right? So now let us see what was the situation. Scrum is one of the most practicing agile framework. State of Scrum by collecting the information from the practitioners across the world. Their information says that the usage of Scrum is roughly 33%, right? So that means whatever I have mentioned is not just out of my guesswork. This is what is Scrum is saying, right? One of the most practicing agile frameworks. So that means the reality is the traditional projects and the agile projects has to coexist. So that means we need to understand there is a concept called as project, program and portfolio. We have to understand about them before even thinking about scaling an agile at an enterprise level. So let me quickly explain what is a project, what is a program and what is a portfolio. Generally, projects are like to bring a change, and that is where we initiate projects, and most of us know the definition of a project. Program is a group of projects which are interrelated and you want to do that independently. You cannot do that. An example of that is if a company like Mahindra World's Constructions wanted to construct a city, world city and a location. 90% of the times they do such constructions outside the cities, outskirts. So that particular location will not have a basic infrastructure also. So that particular program it is like a Mahindra World City is like a program. Under that program, you have different projects. One project is infrastructure, roads and basic drainage. Second is construction of a office spaces. Third is construction of a residential houses or residential apartments. Fourth is marketing and branding this particular initiative. Now, these four projects are very much interlinked. If one fails, leads to the failure of others, right? So that is where the program is coming into the picture. Whereas portfolio is group of projects, programs and other work which are mainly into it is also responsible for profit and loss as well. So that means if I have to give you an analogy of projects, program and a portfolio, a project is like a leaf in a tree and a program is like a branch. Portfolio is like a garden with different types of trees. Some will be the trees which will give us the flowers. Some trees will give us the fruits. Some trees are just giving us the shadow. So a garden. So now why we are actually trying to cover this is some of the leaves are only agile. Majority of the leaves are traditional. So the decision makers, the people at a senior level are more of a waterfall rather than agile. So is everyone clear about what is a project, program and a portfolio?
Yes.
Yes.
So now, see, let us see the companies which were trying to implement Scrum. What they were saying is it easy for the people to implement Scrum? The challenge, the answer very clearly says only 27% of the companies said we were able to implement the agile. 42% said to some extent. Roughly 31% said no, we couldn't implement that. And when they were asked further details, why, what is the reason for that? command and control approach of my organization. Inability to scale the Scrum at the organization means one or two initiatives it was successful, but when I want to go to the higher level, it was really not helping me out. And these are the two important reasons. That means the senior management was one of the reasons. Now, at the same time, the Scrum Alliance was trying to find out what are the reasons. So if you look into this, organization culture is one of the things. Traditional waterfall based methods are the one which are given, and alignment with projects in the portfolio. So if you address this, and we did not get the sponsorship or support from the management. So if you look into this, if we are able to address this properly, we might have got a successful experience of the Agile. So if you look into this, where the projects were successful, it is the management. So that means let us see what is the single factor for a success and a failure of the Agile. It is the same senior management. So that means when you wanted to have a project successful, if senior management is involved, it would be successful. If it is failing, that means you did not get the support from the senior management, right? So surprisingly, the factor for the success or a failure of an Agile is senior management, support and involvement, right? So all of you agree with this, right? If you don't want to disagree, you can feel free to unmute and say me. This is a two-way discussion. Okay. So now,
yeah. So sorry to interrupt you. So see, basically, so this goes, if we, I think last time I had attended the Scrum Master certification course. So that time, if you take this top-down approach, then it will be easier for the this Scrum implementation within our organization. But I think if you look at it, the wider organization or the larger organization, like in the banking organization or in automobile, in different kind of industries. So
yeah,
there is a there are a number of people employed, and to to train those people and to implement that Scrum. Even though senior management is pushing that Scrum or the Agile, but it is very that kind of efforts, I think, also to be put by the other employees here. I think not only senior management here we can say. That is what my
I agree with you and nailed it absolutely. I'm going to cover them in the next slides.
Okay.
Thank you very much for contributing that.
Yeah.
So let me say you today's my topic was mainly like embrace the hidden powers. In case of a Scrum, what are the important roles you have? What are the 3 roles of a Scrum?
As per the old Scrum, there are 3. But as for the latest Scrum, there's only 1 role, which is going to be the Scrum team. But you can actually divide the Scrum team into a Scrum Master, Product Owner, and the developers.
So that means, did they mention anything about Portfolio Manager, Project Manager, Functional Manager like that?
No.
So those are the hidden powers. They may not be directly involved in your project, but they may be the people who allocate the money. They may be the people who allocate the resources. So the objective is how we will be embracing and we make them. See, they may not support my project. They should not resist my project, right? So that is the objective while I was looking at, and you want to scale at an enterprise level, how do we embrace? So how to win these forbidden power players is, first of all, you may have to know your organization. Identify who are the power players. Acknowledge they are more powerful. Understand why they are resisting. Communicate to them in their own vocabulary. Specific needs they have, take it and show them, experiment like pilot, then educate them and contribute your success stories and failure stories. I'm going to cover each one of them in the next slides. So know your organization is, see, at the end of the day, the organizations have some organizational structure, right? If you take a normal state in India, a government, if you have a state, there is a chief minister and there is a governor. Both of them are of the same, I mean, if you can say as a hierarchy, they are of the same hierarchy, same rank. But who is powerful? Is it governor or the chief minister?
Chief Minister. Yeah.
So in the same way, when you take an organization, you have somebody who has a power. Rank wise, there may be multiple people across. So there are different types of organizations: functional organization, matrix organization, and projectized organization. So projectized organizations are, example, if you take a company which is constructing a metro, Chennai Metro, Bangalore Metro, like that. Say there they form a company for construction of a metro alone. So you have somebody called project director who is like a project manager. He or she has a full power. Every department, civil department, mechanical department, different departments directly report to him, and people are allocated full-time basis, which is a projectized organization. How many organizations are really projectized? Maybe 20-30% or even less than that. Majority of the organizations are functional organizations. What are these functional organizations? For functional organizations have different departments and they have department heads, and people report to department heads. Any initiatives which need multiple people, the department head would allocate the people. An example of that is if you take a college, you have maths department, science department, social department, and you have a department heads there. If I say first year engineering class, professors or teachers are allocated by the head of the departments. So in this case, you have somebody called as a course coordinator. Does he has any power? Who has more power? Course coordinator or the department head?
HOD.
HOD. So those are the functional organizations. Matrix organization is a combination of both. So in a functional organization, so in a matrix organization, you have a power distributed between both functional manager and a project manager. So an example of that could be if you take a Big Bazaar supermarket. When it comes to the, can I request everybody to mute yourself? Can I request everybody to mute? Thank you for your cooperation. If you take a Big Bazaar supermarket, when you wanted to purchase the goods like perishable goods like milk, dairy, those need to be purchased in the local. If you wanted to purchase non-perishable goods, it is better if they purchase it centralized. So here the power is distributed across. Why am I actually covering to you in this topic here in this location is, or in this webinar is, first of all, understand who is having a power in your organization. Now, if you wanted the things to be successfully running, in case of a functional organization, maybe the functional manager, if you give a buy-in to him, if you sell this to him, it can go across. But big companies like IBM and all, they are neither functional or projectized. For IT department, there are one particular structure will be there. For maybe recruitment, they have a different structure. So as one of our friend has pointed out, it is neither team or neither project manager. It is a combination of people. So you understand the organization is the first step. Do you all agree with this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next step here is, after you have done, list down for this particular project, whatever I am doing, who are all the stakeholders involved in this. Stakeholders are the people who are actively involved, maybe positively or negatively impacted by your project. Suppose you are planning for digitalization of entire procurement process. Then you may have to work with finance team, procurement team, and maybe somebody else who are in the factory. Then those are the stakeholders. List down those stakeholders, and also you need to list down the functional managers or project managers. Then acknowledge their power. So this is one of the important things you need to understand. what is their power and their involvement or interest in the project. So when you list the stakeholders, some stakeholders may be positively impacted, some stakeholders may be negatively impacted. So that also we need to identify. Apart from that, categorize them based on the different types of the needs. So an example of this is, say I am actually developing a CRM, customer relationship management application. A pharmaceutical company wanted this to be implemented for their organization. Vice President of Sales is the person who has funded this project. Now, he is the person who has higher power. Will he be giving me the requirements on a day-to-day basis? No.
No.
So he is high power and low involvement. I know about how to implement a CRM, but I don't know about their business. So I request the sponsor or this manager to assign somebody who can give me an understanding of how this company is running their sales process. So he might have allocated one zonal manager who had around 10 to 12 years of experience. He may be allocating 2 hours a day where he will give me the requirements. He will be driving this project. So this particular stakeholder has high power and high interest. Now, in a company, you have freshers who came out of a college, joined as a entry-level sales representatives. These are with high enthusiasm, but their power is limited. So low power and high interest. Now, when I wanted to implement the CRM for this organization, there was a mandatory rule from the company or from the vice president of sales. I need to collect and upload 4 years of old data. Now, the admin department who are there, they need to provide the data, which is an extra work for them. So that is the reason these are low power and low interest, and have some strategy how we are going to involve. Though we are, if I am building an application, first I want to know the beta user feedback. Maybe I will involve entry level engineers. After I get the feedback, then I will actually show to the journal manager. After meaningful completion of each of small features, I will show to the senior management. And then I would also work parallelly with the admin department so that I have the data into the system. So this is how we need to approach, whether it is a waterfall or agile, this is always applicable. And agile also says at the end of every sprint, you need to involve stakeholders. When you do this, you know when you need to involve at what stages. Then the stakeholders who are positively impacted are okay. Stakeholders who are negatively impacted, and if they have high power, they may come in the last minute and make your entire project go for they may block your project. So you need to look into the stakeholders and see what is their current state and what is the desired state where we wanted to take, and have some sort of an approach for that. Suppose you wanted to implement enterprise-wise document management system and you want to implement a paperless office. But however, you have a finance team who has, because of the legal compliance, they need to have a paper and a physical signatures. Now, the another initiative is green initiative. You need to eliminate the paper. So then what we need to do, finance team is the one of the very, very important team in the organization. If they don't digitalize, 70% of my objective is gone. And also the reason why the company wanted to do this is competitors are actually doing zero contact to the branches, zero paper, and we are actually currently in 70% paper. And they wanted to do this project in agile manner. So then how do I do that? So finance department is a very, very vital department. So I go and speak to them. Now I understand there are some legal compliances. Then I may showcase them with a demo of a Adobe software where it looks like almost like a paper. People can do a signature. It is legally also okay. Now, if I show them as a proof of concept, now will they be in a resistant stage or will they be in a supportive stage?
Supportive.
So that is where we need to approach beyond the teams. Then understand that this is a change. When you are trying to implement Scrum is a change. Project itself is a change. Trying to implement Scrum is a radical change. A very, very simple thing is, I am a senior architect in an organization. I have been a very, very critical person in my organization. Suddenly Scrum came and they say architect and everybody is same. Actually, till now, I have 40 to 60% of power with me. People will come and contact me. Now, when this is getting implemented, as a architect, do you think I will be cooperating and embracing this? I may be worried, I may lose my job, right? So those sort of things would happen. 90% of the places where they were planning for a enterprise transformations, they were investing in tools. Unfortunately, they were not investing in preparing the organization. It is not about, it is not about can we do that. It is, are we ready to do that? I know a very big 20 years old product development company, which is very good into the financial sector. They have at least 8 to 12 products, a Bangalore based company where they have 100 customers, 100 to 150 customers, global bigger customers in US. They have 20 products, around 10 to 12 product managers who are working in the company for 17 years. And because the agile started, they were not communicated appropriately. 65 to 70% of the product managers left the company and company was clueless. So such mistakes may happen. Along with Scrum, you are any agile, you understand this change management and try to look into the change management driven by not only the departments, you have HR and also the external coaches. The coaches would also help the people also to undergo a lot of unlearning and relearning, a mindset change. Then, is this English?
No.
I gave you 200 pages of a document like this, and I am asking you to respond to me. What will be your immediate reaction? Give
What
me a
is
sign
this?
off, I am asking you.
Absolutely.
You will be clueless, right? See, this is the challenge in communication. Technical people communicate technology, jargons, and business speaks about business. And that is the reason you have jargons like this. Actually, what I wanted to communicate is dollar is nothing but O, and tilde is U. This is what I wanted to communicate. Example of this is a Oracle developer is asking the customer, shall I commit the customer data? What does commit means to the customer? What does commit means to the Oracle developer? Altogether different meaning, right?
Yes.
So that is one of the reasons why majority of the projects fail. We need to have a common vocabulary. So now what are we speaking here? Senior management are the people whom we need to get a buy-in. What language do they understand? Agile or waterfall?
Waterfall.
So you have to communicate to them in their language. So if you see in our projects, maybe it is not 100% one-to-one match. If you look into user story maps, release planning, roadmaps are almost similar to product breakdown structure. Risk register is the one which is applicable for both of us. Then a project plan may not be exactly like our plan, something of that nature. And then a issue log and how equivalent, how it will be managed in the team level. So you have to learn their vocabulary and communicate to them in that vocabulary so that they understand this. Again, remember,
Shivram,
yeah.
can you actually explain the product breakdown structure a little bit more, please?
Okay, no problem. Give me a minute. I will share you a different screen and explain about that. One second, I am just opening that. I'm going to share the screen. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes.
So this is more than a technical, it is a business ways where the people can understand. We know work breakdown structure, which may have more of a technical things, right? So
That's
these
correct.
are the examples of a product breakdown structure. Got it, right?
Got it.
So when we are speaking about a project, we may speak about minimum viable product, right? When I say minimum viable product, maybe it is a clueless thing for them. But the moment you are explaining in this way, okay, I used to call earlier as a module driven, these people are calling it some other name, right? Okay.
Understood.
Okay. So that is one of the things which we need to look into. Okay. So now let me go to the next slide. So the project plan is the way where they would understand. Maybe I will share a release plan equivalent. Now, when it comes to monitoring the projects, 100 projects are there, 70% are waterfall, 30% are agile. Now your MIS reports, progress reports, will it be waterfall or agile? Organization level.
It will be waterfall.
Right? So what we are going to do here is we will look for making these at every sprint end level. We will try to do that in a waterfall method, EVMS. And a risk register equivalent, how do we manage it in agile projects? Then the another important thing is when we wanted to implement this, see, in a traditional project we have team members, each had their roles and responsibilities. In case of an agile project, what is the situation? You need to have a cooperation and a change from different departments, right? So a RACI matrix like this will help them. Instead of saying everybody can do everything, you have something like this, the things will become much more easier and straight. Clear, right?
Yes.
So educate them on our agile practices, like what is a scrum, what is release planning, what is a sprint planning. And instead of leaving just like that, you explain them what is release planning, job of a scrum master, and planning daily scrum. Instead of leaving them to puzzled things, you can actually give a simple mind map of these things. The moment you show the mind map, they understand somebody is doing, and 90% of the places we implement hybrid. Then they would know these are the things I cannot implement as it is, which is mentioned in the book. I may have to customize that. So then when we try, some will be successful, some will be failing. So PMO is a one which will be collecting the information, and this can be shared across. And it is very clearly saying the presence of PMO significantly contributes to a success of a agile projects at an enterprise level. So these are the ones which I wanted to cover. I hope it is clear to you. Now the floor is open for any question and answers. See, the other important thing I wanted to highlight before opening the floor to question and answers is one framework alone cannot be implemented. You may have to have combinations or tailor it for your organization. Hybrid is one of the important things. So Agile certified practitioner from PMI had Scrum, XP, Kanban, Lean, DSDM at 10. Apart from that, preparing the people across. How do you mentor even the business facing people? How do you mentor the teams? And what sort of a changes need to be done? Example, DevOps sort of a thing is needed. So all those areas are covered as a part of a Agile certified practitioner. Okay, so now the floor is open for question and answers. So we had a poll. Please feel free to fill this. And we have a session on January 23 and 24, 2 days of an agile session.
What's the cost and duration of this program?
Praneeth, can you update them? You will get an emails about that as well.
Can you send me the details as well on that one?
Sure, we'll share the details, sir, over mail.
So what is the difference between upcoming and dates?
No, there we have 2 dates. So I mentioned every month we will be having 1 batch.
Okay.
So Jan and Feb we have 1 batch.
All right. All right. Thank you. And after Feb, when is the next batch?
We will announce it very soon. So till Feb we have batch right now.
We are going in Agile as a rolling wave plan. We define every 2 months.
Got it.
Only
got it.
weekdays, only weekends, not in weekdays.
Yes, sir.
If it is a corporate, we can work out for a weekdays generally because we have a public workshop people coming. This is a we planned for a weekends.
One more
Okay.
question here. So this is a 2 days workshop, the way we have for CSL.
Yeah.
And how will be the certification for this? Will be it will be directly a post-star workshop the way we have for CSM, or how is that?
It's an online Zoom or one of the online workshop where it will be instructor led. It will have 60% of sessions and 40% of an activities.
Right. But about the certification, will it
So
will
after
it be followed by?
okay, good. So after completion of this, you need to undergo 21 hours of a training as per PMI. In 2 days, I am covering 16 hours. 5 hours of a self-learning videos will be shared to you. After completing this, you need to submit the application to PMI and then prepare a month of preparation, and you need to write an exam to clear that. It is like a PMP exam.
PMP itself.
Yeah. It will have situational questions. It will be really reasonably testing your experience.
So there will be objective and subjective questions.
No. All these ACP questions are multiple choices and situational.
Okay.
120 questions will be there. 3 hours will be the exam. You need to go to a Prometric center and write, or if you are writing from the home, you will be monitored every minute.
So how will be this different than the CSM, certified Scrum Master?
So as I mentioned to you, Scrum Master is covering only about SM, only one role. This covers about DSDM attern, Lean, XP practices, and also about lot of orientation is needed for the product owner, right? So prioritization techniques are covered, estimations are covered, and the most difficult challenge is preparing the people. That soft skills are covered, some coaching aspects are covered.
Yeah. So here, what are the trends like in the industry? Some of the industries might be using Scrum, some might be XP. So what are the trend in the industry as of now? So basis.
See, if the companies are mostly IT, they were using Scrum with combination if they are into the product developments or development. If they are into the production support and development as a combination, then they were using some of the hybrid approaches, Scrum and Kanban. Non-IT companies are actually slowly embracing from waterfall to agile.
Okay.
Lean also is one of the things they were trying. It's a combination, hybrid.
Okay, so I just wanted to know, so Lean, and is there any trend of on Lean and XP?
Some of the Lean and XP also will be covered here.
Okay.
So that's why I said Agile Certified Practitioner is not one framework. It gives you a set of tools for you to understand. It is something like this. Instead of one screwdriver, you have a star screwdriver. You have a full toolkit. The moment you know, you are aware of this, you will apply as per the need. It's not biased towards one particular framework.
Okay, got it.
Sivan, I'm sorry, maybe this question might be the repetitive one, but on the same point, just wanted to understand. We also have one different kind of a certification that is certified Scale Agile Framework.
Scaled Agile Framework.
Yeah. So, what's the difference between that one and the ECP?
Okay, so I mean, it's a very, very good question. So Scaled Agile Framework is mainly focusing on release train, more into also the implementation portion, right? So this is all one of the aspects is covered here. In addition to that, it would cover about product owner is there. So for a product owner to do a release planning, it doesn't happen overnight. It covers at least 6 to 7 types of prioritization techniques. How are we going to prepare the team members for this? How are we going to manage this change? So this is how it covers combinations. One of the portion will be, we will cover some of the portion of SAFe, not entire thing.
So the SAFe would be the extensive one than ACP.
Not in that sense. See, SAFe is covering about implementation only most of the times.
Okay.
This is covering. See, SAFe also is it is only promote. It says about you follow Scrum, Lean, etc. But it is saying it's framework. ACP is not about one framework. It gives you an idea of all the things to a reasonable level.
Correct.
So if you know a catalog, then only you will know which is applicable in my organization. And DSDM Atan is a Prince2 Agile. Some of those aspects are also covered.
All right. Can you send me the details, please? This is Siraj.
Yeah, you will get those details.
Thank you. I'm going to sign off for now.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time.
So I hope the session was useful to all of you.
Yes.
Yes.
It was a great
Shivaram,
session.
one question.
Yeah.
So mostly SCP covers the broader way of agile practice.
Yes.
Along with all the frameworks.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
I wanted to know
Shivaram,
one thing. Yeah.
Shivaram, one question here. So CSM is the basic on the starting part of Scrum certification.
Yes, it's one of the certifications which would cover about only the Scrum Master. So, but when I am conducting this session, I will assume the people do not have any experience or very little experience. I will start from the scratch. If you are already a Scrum certified Scrum Master with experience, sometime you need to bear in recap of the Scrum.
So will this be added advantage on top of CSM certification?
Absolutely. If you have more than 8-9 years of experience, you need to play a little higher roles, right? Yeah, the answer is absolutely yes. If you are into less than 5 years, 6 years, maybe CSM is good enough for you.
Okay.
I have a small question. So, will you provide any some questions list, something like that, which are related to exam?
See, generally, like we will give you the material in the PDF format, and I would also recommend different reading material for you for the exam. Yes, definitely there would be a guidance, but you need to prepare more than anything else.
Okay.
As you know, PMI exams are mainly known for the toughness, right?
Yeah.
That's why we will give you the orientation, and we'll also recommend different materials. I would be covering most of the things.
So will there be any mock test?
Yeah, there will be some of the mock things which I would will be there from the training. I would also recommend external material as well. It's not only this material alone.
Okay.
Though they do not publish what is the pass score, generally 70% will be the pass score for any ACP exam.
Shivaram, this recording will be shared with us because I lost most of the things because of some network issues.
You can ask them; they would actually say you.
We'll upload in YouTube, ma'am, so you can have the link.
Okay, that will be sent to my mail ID.
Yes.
Thank you. That's great.
Right. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.
Thank you. And I had someone has sent me a message who is from non-IT. Okay, see, even non-IT also the Agile is applicable. And if you see in Agile, whatever we are seeing in Agile, Toyota 7 principles of waste is like one of the oldest first practice of Agile. So it's applicable in IT as well as non-IT. Okay. And if you have any queries, you can wait for a couple of minutes. Otherwise, wish you all the best in your agile journey.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.